so this week we're covering the Americana. So it's a move that we did, quite a while ago. One of those kind of core moves you learn in jiu-jitsu, especially from the mount position. So we're going to review it, but we're going to do it with a little bit of a different grip sequence, and then like a couple extra little controlling position steps to it. Okay, so now it's not just going to be used as a submission, but as a point of control to cook the person, to just keep them from escaping the mount. Okay, so first we're going to just talk about the mount a little bit. Can I borrow John? Okay, so with the mount, again, we talk about this all the time. Knees stay nice and tight. Facing the camera, thank you. So knees stay nice and tight. Just a little bit. Oh, sorry, just checked over. There we go, perfect. Okay, so remember, I'm controlling him with my legs, all right? The mount, I want to use my legs to control the person, and then my hands can be a secondary level of control, okay? But in order to keep the mount, generally, what you want to try to avoid is posting with your feet. Okay, to make sure you don't get flipped over. Okay, if your first instinct anytime somebody tries to bump you is to put your foot up, it's going to be very easy for the person to start reclaiming some kind of guard. Okay, so the very last second, if you feel like you're about to get swept and you can't use your hand to post, then okay, put your foot up to maintain on top position. But don't let that be your first reaction. Okay, try to keep a good strong pinch with your feet. Right, we can cross our ankles, we can grapevine as much as you want. Right, so a lot of different ways to control with your legs. But just remember, using our hands as a majority of our posting to make sure we stay on top, right? Just it's not easy to escape the mount, right? So that's just one little tidbit right there, okay? So we talked about the Americana. When we first learned it, okay, we focused on a 2-on-1 grip, and we force his arm to the floor, and then we attack the Americana from there, okay? Which is great, no problem, all right? The only thing with it is if you go 2-on-1, the person's gonna know that you're attacking that arm, okay? Now, if you notice that when I go 2-on-1, really the hand that's affecting that pin mostly is going to be this top arm. So it's going to be the cross arm, right? This elbow one is just kind of a little secondary force. All right, but if I just try to use one arm to force that same side arm down, it's going to be very, very hard. I'm using all the weakest muscles against his strongest muscles. So right here, it's kind of a pulling motion, right? So his whole arm, his chest, his back is fighting against really just like my rotator cuff, right? This kind of movement right here, it's really just rotator cuff, right? So it's going to be hard. But notice if I do something as simple as switching it to a cross grip, okay, now my elbow stays a little bit tighter to my body. Now it's more of a pushing motion, right? So now I can use more of my body weight to force his arm down. So the understanding of a cross grip is actually a very, very strong use of gripping person, especially in the mount, okay? So that's the sequence that we're going to be using to start the Americana. We're going to use a cross grip series, okay? So you can just do one arm, right? You can just attack one arm at a time, right? But again, the same idea. He knows that you're attacking this arm if you're just focusing on it. So instead, we're going to start with a double cross grip, just like this. So palm up, both hands palm up, just like very similar to how we did our collar chokes from the mount position, right? Our double collar choke, okay? So we're going to start with our double palm grip, our double palm up cross grip, right? Just like this. Boom. Very, very simple, okay? So now, depending on which way he bridges, I'm going to be able to have my appropriate hand posting, and then I can use that other hand to pin the person down to the floor. So very simple. I have my cross grip, my double cross grip. Let's just say he bridges to his right. I have the ability to keep my feet tight, post to stay on top, and now I have a good pinning position here with his right arm. Okay, now eventually when I flatten him back out, I can double up on that wrist, and then I can work from here. Okay, so that's really why the cross grip is very, very strong. If I wanted to go like this, and he bridged in that same fashion, I have to post my hand, and now I don't have as good of a grip on that one arm to pin it to the floor. Okay, now if he comes back, he's going to be able to bring his arm in, and now I have to start from square one again. Okay, so with the cross grip, again, go ahead, bridge. Now I can post pin, and now if he tries to come back, it's going to be very hard for him to bring that arm back with him. All right, so now I can pin it here, and this is where I would come and double up on that arm. And then from here, again, we got a lot of options, okay? The first one we're going to do is we're going to keep that arm where it is. I'm going to release that, and I'm going to come underneath his head, and I'm going to go palm down and control his wrist. Okay? It's very similar to the gift wrap position, except instead of it going across his face, it's in this little triangle position right here, which is still a very, very strong position. Okay? And then from here, we're going to work the Americana. Okay? So now my free arm is going to come underneath. Make sure it comes underneath the humerus bone right here, between the elbow and the shoulder. Make sure we come underneath, and then I go palm down and I get my own wrist. So we have a 2-on-1 right here. Okay, again, I could just use this as a control position. Right? It's going to be very hard for him to escape. All right, perfect. Very, very strong position. All right, to finish the Americana, all I'm going to do is loop his head around. I'm going to put my elbow right by his ear, and now we're in this position to start finishing the Americana. Okay, very simple. Remember we talked about packing it. Another term for it is the V-lock. So we take his arm from more or less an L shape, right? And I want to pack it down into a V shape. The more I pack it, the faster the finish is. And the more flexibility and dexterity he has in his shoulders, the more I'm going to have to pack it. Some people have really, really tight shoulders, so the second you start to pull down on that elbow, you're going to get the tap. But some people, you need to pull it down good, like pack. Now once you feel like you've packed it enough, now you lift up on the elbow and you drag the back of his hand on the mat, right? So don't just lift the elbow up, right? As I drag his palm or his knuckles on the mat, I pull up. Right? So you continue that packing motion as you lift the elbow up off the floor. Okay? Again, depending on how flexible the shoulders are, you might need to do a little bit more pulling and lifting up on the elbow. Okay? So it's very, very simple. So we go cross grip, he bridges, post and pin. Now as I come back, I double up on that arm. I come underneath the head, pass it, and now we're right here. Come underneath, palm down, loop the head. I put my elbow right by his neck. Right? You can use your elbow to kind of like make his face look away a little bit. It's like an extra little added something to keep him mounted. Okay, now a little detail that I always like to show is if you're having trouble finishing the Americana, look at his knuckles. Okay, if his knuckles are off the ground, okay, you're not doing it as efficiently. So if this is ever the case, look how his thumb is kind of pointing to the ground. What you want to do is you want to use your right arm in this case, and I'm going to rotate his knuckles flat to the floor. Okay, that's going to give it a little bit more tightening to the shoulder, and it's going to give you that little bit of extra tightness to get the finish, if the person's really, really flexible. Most of the time, it's okay if his pinky's off the ground a little bit. But this little turn right here, that's going to add quite a bit of finishing potential. Okay, head down. The whole time you're doing this with your head down, but I'm just talking. So we're here, I pack it down, start to lift up, and then I get that tap. Very, very simple. Classic, classic attack that works really, really well at all levels. Okay, so we start here. Another thing with the cross grip is I want to kind of have my weight kind of coming forward a little bit. I don't want to sit back, right? He doesn't really feel like there's any weight on these arms. All right, so I want to kind of have my hips engaged up, and I want to have my weight over top of him. Okay, and then he bridges, boom, pin and post, come back 2-on-1, underneath the head, and I trap it right here. Get my 2-on-1 grip, my Americana grip, loop the head, drop the elbow down, and I pack it, and I get my finish. Okay? Remember, continue to add pressure until you get the tap. Right? That's the only way you're going to know how far you have to go when you're drilling it. Okay? Any questions? All right, very straightforward. Let's hit it. 1, 2, 3. Very simple. Okay, good. All right, so now, after they bridge and you pin and post, all right, sometimes they're going to keep their elbow, kind of like at center line or past center line so that they can kind of defend that grip that you have on the 2-on-1. Okay, if they do, then we got a lot of options, right? We can transition to the back, the modified mount, or what we're going to do is we're going to transition to the gift wrap. Okay, so let's say John's on top, and John just did this technique. Okay, he's here, he did this cross grip. Okay, I bridged, he pinned it to the floor. Right, as he works to go 2-on-1 on this arm, I keep this elbow past center line because I want to kind of grab this arm and kind of. If I bring this arm back through center line, he's going to flatten me out. He's going to put his arm underneath, and he's going to get this here. Right, and now I'm in worse trouble. Okay? So a lot of times what happens is when you pin the post, the person's going to keep their arm past your center line so that they can kind of try to grab whatever's grabbing your own arm. Right, makes sense. Right? Sometimes that happens. Okay, so we talk about anytime somebody's elbow passes your center line, they start to expose their back. And that's true in the full guard also. In the half guard, there's a lot of different ways. So anytime elbow crosses center line, always think about, okay, there's probably back exposure. Okay, so this is what we're going to do now. So now we're just going to transition to modified mount, and we're going to attack the gift wrap. And we're just going to, again, use it as a control point. There's a lot of avenues you can take right from there, but we're just going to focus on the control point of the gift wrap. Okay. So again, we're here, I got my cross grip, leaning my body weight over him, I pin and post. As I try to drive him back, yeah, he's using his hand to kind of grab one of my other arms. Perfect. Right? That's fine. It's not a bad thing to do, right? You're defending the Americana, but now he's got to give up his back. So instead of me trying to force the Americana, I'm going to transition and rotate. So all my weight is on my hands, I'm going to slide my knee up, and then other foot cuts in, and then I pivot my hips so that I'm perpendicular to him. Okay, now I have to decide what sequence am I going to get the gift wrap in. So right now, he's controlling this arm, right? My left arm, right? I don't do anything with that arm, Okay, that's not part of the gift wrap. That's only going to be used as a support hand. So in this case, I would just let go with my right arm, come underneath his head, and find his wrist. And then it's going to be very easy to break his grip. If he holds his grip, hold the grip. Yeah, it's going to be very easy to break that grip. And now my free hand is going to reinforce the elbow. I'm going to pull the gift wrap nice and tight, and I'm going to extend my hips forward, really putting a good torque on his back. Good shin up here, up on the belly right here, keeping a wall for him to turn to his stomach. Right? I don't want him to turn to his belly. If he does, I can put my hooks in and flatten him out, but I just want to keep him right here on his side. So I extend my hips, pull up on the arm, and I'm right here in the gift wrap. We have a lot of avenues that we can take from here. But again, just controlling the person, cooking them, letting them work to escape, and then it makes the finish a lot easier afterward. Okay, so let's rotate now. Okay, so we're just transitioning to the gift wrap. Very, very simple. Okay, we're here, he bridges, doesn't matter which way, pin and post. As I try to pull him back where he stays on his side, and he starts to affect my grips right here. So again, I transition, the knee that's along the back side slides up, other foot comes close to the hip, and then I pivot my hips. Don't try to stay parallel with him. Rotate your hips so that you're perpendicular. Now it's going to be very easy for you to get here. Okay? If you're like this, it's going to be harder to get to the gift wrap. So I pivot my hips, so now I have a lot more length on my arm. Boom. Break it and get the gift wrap. Okay? If you were to grab the other wrist, okay, now this is the arm that I want to gift wrap, so I can't let go of that and gift wrap him. It's going to be pretty hard to do. Okay, so now from here, I will switch. I'll control the wrist. I'll break the grip, and then I'll come underneath and pass it. Boom, and we're in the same position. All right, so depending on which hand he grabs, I might have to do an extra little step to break the grip and then to get my gift wrap. Okay, very simple. Okay, let's rotate the other direction. Head that way. Perfect. Okay. Now, bridge in the same direction so that we can see the backside. Boom, bridge and post. I come back here. He's defending. He stays on his side. So now I slide my knee up as high as I can. Pivot, and now I'm in modified mount. Perfect. He's grabbing my left arm. So all I do is let go of my free hand, come under his head, I grab his wrist, break the grip, and now I'm right here. Again, engaging the hips coming forward. Notice how it pulls up on his arm. Less comfortable, more comfortable. Less comfortable, more comfortable. Okay, we always want to make things less comfortable for the person. Okay, so that's all we're doing is we're doing the same cross grip sequence, pinning and posting, doubling up on that arm. Person on bottom stays on their side. They're trying to create chaos into my 2-on-1 grip. I use that series to transition to modified mount and then find my gift wrap position and then just hold from there. Okay? Any questions? Okay, very simple. 1, 2, 3. Nice. A lot of avenues from the gift wrap. You can take the back, take the arm bar, step over for the triangle. A ton of stuff from there. Head and arms, head and arm chokes there. Okay, so again, now just one avenue that we're going to take. We're going to go back to the Americana. Okay, so we're going to go back to that pillow control where you got your arm underneath their head. All right. So we're here, right? I got my grip. He bridges. I post and pin. Okay, let's say I drive him back down to the floor, and I'm able to get this pillow control right here. Okay, I'm able to get to the 2-on-1. All right, I'm almost at the Americana. Okay, now as I go to loop the head, right, very, very simple defense to the Americana is just have a straight arm. Right? This is, you get the tap, right? So if I straighten my arm, it's going to be hard to really torque the shoulder. Okay, so once that happens, what we're going to do is we're going to pass the arm all the way over to the other side, and we're just going to hit a very simple arm lock, all right, from like that kind of like the S-mount position. So we're here, all right, I get my 2-on-1 grip, all right. As I go loop the head, he straightens his arm. Right, so it's going to be hard to pull it back down. Okay, so sometimes you can get like a little arm bar right here if you have the just the right adjustment of the hand, but it's going to be tough sometimes. Okay, normally with the Kimura grip, it's a little easier to get these inverted arm locks. Okay, but with the Americana grip, sometimes it's a little bit tough. Okay, but so I go right from here. What I want to do is I want to keep my Americana grip. All right, and I want to pull his arm to the opposite side. All right, so his arm is kind of at an angle right here. What I want to try to do is I want to pull his arm into the opposite angle. Okay, so I want to keep my Americana grip as best I can. So I get right from here, I'm going to pull his arm up, and I'm going to pass it over to the other side. And I want to put all my weight on his elbow so that he can't pull it back. Boom. Now the same kind of idea. I slide my knee up, and then I want to cut my other foot in to this S-mount position. Okay, making sure I'm on the ridge of my foot so that now I can lean all my body weight onto John. So I want to lean over this elbow right here, or this knee that's on top of his stomach. okay? Just put enough weight so that this leg can be nice and light and step over his head. Okay, if I put too much weight, it's gonna give him the option to bridge and I can continue to finish the arm bar from the belly down position, but I'd rather stay on top. So once I've cut that foot underneath, I'm gonna lean just enough to make this leg light, and then I sit right back, okay? If he doesn't grab his hands together, I finish the arm lock. If he grabs his hands together, then we go through our grip breaking procedure that we did a couple of weeks ago, okay? We're not gonna go over it right now, but for right now, just attack the arm bar. Boom. Control the wrist, fall back, pinch the knees, curl the feet in, and finish, okay? Very simple. Okay. So again, right here, he bridges, I pin and post, I'm able to flatten him back out and get my 2-on-1 grip right here. All right, I go to loop the head, he straightens his arm out, so I'm gonna bring it across his body, knee comes up nice and high, foot comes under, and now we're here. Making sure that you're on the ridge of your foot. Don't try to keep your foot flat on the ground, it's gonna be hard for you to really lean. So try to cut that foot underneath as best you can. Lean, step over, right here, control the wrist, and finish the arm bar. Okay? This angle here, perfect. Okay? Again, I'm here, my weight's forward, I bridge and post. I'm able to flatten him back out and get my pillow control right here. Oh, he straightened his arm out. I'm wasting my time trying to pull it back. It's gonna be very, very tough. So I bring it over his head and put my chest on his elbow. Slide the knee up, cut the foot under, lean, step over, and then I finish the arm lock right there. Nice and easy. Okay, one more time, other direction. Woo! You'll see it from the back side. Okay, again, we're here, he bridges. Boom, we're here, pin and post, flatten him back out, get my control position, I'm here. Straighten his arm out, I come here, boom. Chest heavy, 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 heavy. Knee comes up, and now watch this foot. It kind of does like a little arcing motion. So it comes away from his body, and then it comes back in underneath. That's gonna help me stay underneath the shoulder. If I'm here, and I bring it up close to his body, sometimes it's gonna be hard to get underneath the shoulder. All right, so I keep my knee really, really tight to his rib, and I just rotate around that. Boom. Cut that foot underneath, and now I lean. Step, 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 right here. Boom. If he doesn't grab his hands together, fall back. If he does grab his hands together, we can do our grip breaking series that we did. Boom. Break that grip, catch it, and finish. Okay? All right? Very simple. Any questions? All right, 1, 2, 3. See what we're doing, John?